Hello, I'm Jody Wolf. You're watching Expoz today, December 9, 2016 at 1:04 a.m. Birmingham. And the topic is the speech Trump made tonight. I call it tonight, but on the 8th at I think 7 p.m. Yeah, 7 p.m. or about 15 after in Iowa. Very good speech. Very good. Loved it. Every bit of it. And he mentioned in that speech, now please understand this, ease up on EPA regulations. That right there is what shut down all the coal mines. That shut down hundreds, if not thousands, of small businesses. Just that. That prevented farmers growing thousands of acres. Yeah, just on EPA regulations. And the list can go on. Hundreds, if not thousands, of service stations closed. Keep in mind, you have fuel tanks in the ground and you have the old oil tanks in the ground. And if any of them develop a leak, well, some may get into some groundwater, but it can be cleaned up. But the case is, they forced all these stations to dig up the oil tanks, and if there's any oil down there, they basically shut them down. And they would not allow it to be hauled off to a dump. It had to be spread out and left lying on your land covered up so you couldn't reopen it until it aired out. A store across the street from me, kind of catty corner, the dirt laid on his property for 3 years. And naturally, he closed his doors. This is commonplace for thousands of service stations, and is why you no longer see them. It's why they're gone. And the thousands and thousands of acres of farmland, and I mean probably into hundreds of thousands. In California, you have thousands of acres because of a strange little old minnow, an inch and a half long. In Alabama, there's a place called the Sipsey Wilderness. It's just, I guess you can call it a kind of a tropical area that's north of Birmingham, northwest of Birmingham, and consists of maybe 20,000 acres or something like that, and maybe a little more. But there's a minnow there called the snail darter. Well, no one can build a house within a certain number of miles of that whole area. And that list goes on. In Birmingham, Alabama, every place that chrome plated or that took your metal, and back in my day, I would like pull the whole rear end out of my car. The leaf springs pull off my front end, the top and lower A-frames and coil springs. I'd just send them downtown and let them chrome them. I'd chrome just basically every part of the body that I could take off of my car is 55, 56, 57 Chevrolet. And but all these chrome places are closed down. And all because of one part of the chrome. You have the first, which is an acid type that kind of cleans it thoroughly after a sandblast. And then you have a place that kind of nickels it and little electrical charge, nickel plates it, and then the other, the nickel looks like copper, by the way, and then you go into the chrome. But because of that acid, well, that acid wasn't running down the streets and the gutters, but yet they find these places if they even walked in the shop and smelled it until they shut them down. Service stations used to be in my day when I was running mine and I had several at a time. I mean, when it's going to freeze one night and come upon everybody, it hits them. My gosh, I didn't even check my antifreeze. They come in and we're checking. The ones that need antifreeze, we add it. The ones that have nothing but water, we have to drain enough to add it. And we were so busy, we opened the petcocks and let them drop on the driveway. And we'd drop a gallon, then we'd close it off. We'd put a gallon of coolant in it, and they were on the way. And today, if you do that, they'll fine you between $10,000 and $50,000, and it'll shut you down. Oil filters, if you don't stick one up after you change oil and let it sit and drain for 24 hours and then crush it, you got to use a machine and crush it. And crush it, you let it drain another 12 hours before you dispose of it, and it has to be in a sealed container in order to dispose of it. And if it's not sealed, taped, signed, all this stuff, and they come by and see it, you're fined $10,000 and up. Same thing with releasing Freon in the air. That's why you stop buying the R12. And Freon for all these cars that were pre-certain year. And when the new Freon came out, I'm going to say it was probably about 1992. No, yeah, about 92. Because here's what I did. I went and I bought 200 cases of the Freon because they were rapidly selling out. I had 50, 30-gallon canisters lined up, but somebody got them out from under me. But then I couldn't use the Freon. I mean, we were certified, but yet we couldn't use it until we had an EPA look over everything and say, okay, you can do it, okay, you can't do it. And we had the recovery machine. We had to pay $7,000 just for a friggin' machine to recover the old Freon that was in there. And we had to recontain it and give it back to the EPA. And so I sat on that Freon 2 years, not knowing much about it, quit buying it because you couldn't buy it. And then and I can tell you, I paid about $1 a can back then, which was high because the price had gone high. But you figure 200 cases at 12 cans a case, so 200 times 12 was at 2,400, 240. I don't know. wasn't yeah, 2,400. Well, I sold them. And I got a crisp $18,000 bill out of them, and I went and bought a brand new Harley. Anyway, I got the subject. Also, farmers. I had a farm up on Chandler Mountain in Alabama, the best tomato growing mountain in all of Alabama, in Mississippi and Tennessee and Georgia. And because a mist stayed up on that mountain, again, not subtropical, but it was a tropical area. We could go up there and we'd spend every weekend up there. We had 45 acres. We had a point called, and you can look it up on the internet, type in Point Peter, Alabama, and that was my place. And I gave Hang Glider Association permission to launch off this rock to hang glide. Some of them would launch off and catch warm air and go up and travel almost to Tennessee. And there that come up off those mountain ridges. But that was my land for 10 years, and then I sold it, and I regret that. But I used to loan out 20 acres to a neighbor because the EPA made them buy a spray to go on their tomato crop. They had to spray it 3 times a year because they had 3 growing or pickings, 3, and $1,500 per 20 acres. And $4,500, I mean, you're talking about most of their profit on each of the growing. So anyway, I gave him my land to use, and he used it. I said, use it. I don't care, just use it, take it. I said, you got this 10 and use that 10 up there. The other 10, I had a bowl of about 8 or 9 acres that I grew alfalfa on because they're opening a big horse track in Birmingham, and I got in on that and was able to grow alfalfa, but yeah, they never really, it fell through. In other words, the people that built it made it like a country club, not a horse track. And GMO foods, anything you can mention. Well, by lifting the sanctions, or some of the sanctions, some of and look, they fine people between $10,000 and $50,000. Service station, $10,000 if I had one oil filter incident. Me, Freon, $10,000 if I got caught one time screwing on without going through a machine. And I mean, hey, this is everywhere in this country. California is 10 times worse than everybody else. They can take those snail darters and put them in another creek and they'll do fine. And they're not going, you know, and the same with those that they have in California where the big growing, well, it's where the wine country was. They couldn't water the wine anymore because it had to be sprayed. And that sprayed run into the creek and they killed this little fish they had that they were protecting. Kill the fish. Catch them, take them. If they're too little to eat, bust them with a hammer and make them about as big as a hamburger, and then fry them and eat them. And say, whoops, they're gone now. And the hoot owl. I mean, you can't cut trees for thousands of square miles because of an owl. I think, you know, it's like people. There's hundreds of different kinds of people. And if one of them decides they want to go move somewhere else, then that land's vacant. It's crazy, guys. And but this is going to create tens, if not hundreds of thousands of jobs. Steel mill, as I mentioned, I heard it again today. Thank goodness. Or I saw it again on the internet. I saw it after I learned about it. I saw it about 2 weeks later. 3 of them in Birmingham alone will be reopening. And then you have the support plants that'll be opening along with them. I was in one of those support plants for a temporary time of 2 years. And then I went to another for a temporary time of 2 years. Then I went to the police department at age 23, and I was there on out until I bought into the service station business. And this company closed down. And it was McGraw and Edison, large company, closed down because of EPA infractions. And it was so minor you wouldn't believe it. You know, they fill these transformers hang on poles with oil. It's a very light oil, like a 5 weight. And this keeps the transformer cool. If it overheats, does multiple things. Keeps shorts from happening. And you start out building things. I built a few only at 5 kVA, most at 15 kVA, and then get up to 50 or 25 and 50 kVA, and then 150 and 250 kVA. They were pretty big. They stood as tall as I did. But I used to build transformers, and we could, anyway, EPA, relax, open up hundreds of coal mines, hundreds, if not 1,000 or 2 oil wells, get into the fracking, start making some steel. Guys, we're going to have, just out of this, in 2 years, there's going to be, I'm going to say, easy 2 million, maybe 4 million jobs. Plus Japan's coming over and bringing 50 million billion bucks. They're going to hire 50,000 people. This is a startup. And it will probably double to triple that after 4 years. This is what they said. And the guy called Trump a liar, said he lied. He said there's going to be 1,000 people not going to lose their job at Carrier. Well, it's more than that. You call it like it is, then you tell the truth. Don't lie about it. It's over 1,000 jobs being saved because you have the support plants that go along with it. They too would be eventually moved to Mexico because the support plants make parts for Carrier to build. And on and on. Look, this country is going to be wealthy beyond your wildest imagination. Every person who's not had a job since Obama will have a job. And thanks to Obama, he shut down a lot of companies, and I was one of them. And I am very bitter to this day about that. Jody Wolf, Expoz.